Millionaire dances with the ugly bridesmaid and ends up falling madly in love with her. Hey there, lovely soul. Welcome back to Noah's Stories. Have you ever met someone who completely shifted the way you see the world with just one unexpected moment? Today's story is about a dance that wasn't supposed to happen and the love that bloomed because of it. Let's dive in. Lena Morales never imagined herself belonging to a glamorous world. As an art teacher at a public school in San Diego, she was used to understocked classrooms, late nights preparing lessons, and weekend catering gigs just to make ends meet. Life wasn't easy, but she never lost her love for teaching or her belief in the power of art to shape young minds. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Daniel Grant had everything society would call success. At 36, he was the CEO of a major investment firm, living in a sleek penthouse overlooking the bay, accustomed to high-stakes meetings and luxury dinners. But beneath the polished surface was a quiet loneliness he rarely acknowledged, a calendar full of obligations but empty of meaning. Two people, two worlds, nothing in common. Until one night, a wedding, when a single unexpected dance would change everything. Lena stood quietly in the corner of the ballroom, smoothing out the wrinkles in her bright yellow dress. It stood out, yes, but not in the glamorous way the designer gowns around her did. As a bridesmaid in her best friend's wedding, she tried to smile, but the truth was, she felt like an outsider. Across the room, Daniel Grant leaned against the bar, a glass of whiskey in hand, his eyes scanning the crowd without focus. His younger brother had nudged him earlier. "It's my wedding day. The least you could do is pretend to have fun." But Daniel felt drained. The small talk, the fake smiles, the shallow compliments, it all felt hollow. "There you are, Daniel." His mother's voice cut through his thoughts. She appeared suddenly, tugging along a young woman with oversized glasses and a nervous smile. "You've been standing around like a statue. This is the bride's friend. She needs a dance partner." Before he could protest, Daniel found himself nudged onto the dance floor. "I'm Lena," she said softly, adjusting her glasses. "Daniel," he replied, placing his hand on her waist as the slow music began. They swayed in silence for a few beats. Then Lena broke it. "You don't want to dance with me." Daniel blinked. "Excuse me?" "It's fine," she shrugged. "Your mom forced you out here. I get it. Honestly, I'd rather be grading my students' art projects than wobbling in these heels." Her candid honesty made Daniel look at her, really look. There was something disarming about her. No act, no effort to impress, just truth. 3 days after the wedding, Daniel still couldn't get Lena Morales out of his mind. He had thought it was just a fleeting moment, a dance, a conversation, but something about her lingered, her honesty, her non-judgmental gaze, the way she said things others wouldn't dare. That evening, after scrolling aimlessly through his phone, Daniel typed into the search bar, "Lena Morales, art teacher, San Diego." One Instagram account popped up, filled with classroom snapshots, student artwork, and small community exhibits. No glamour shots, no selfies, just pure passion. He typed a message, deleted it, typed again, then finally sent. "I really enjoyed our dance the other night. Would you be interested in grabbing coffee this weekend?" He exhaled the moment he hit send. Stupid, he thought. She probably has a boyfriend, or she's busy, or forgot me already. But minutes later, his screen lit up. Daniel Grant, the guy who looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but dancing? That's surprising. He chuckled. "Fair enough, but yes, that's me." 3 dots appeared, then vanished, then appeared again. "Why?" he typed slowly. "Because it was the only conversation that felt real all night." The next message came quickly. "El Sol Cafe, 9th Street. Saturday, 10 a.m., but I can only stay an hour, papers to grade." Lena arrived at El Sol 15 minutes early. She had almost canceled, typed "Sorry, I'm busy" 3 separate times, but never hit send. In the end, she settled on a simple white blouse and jeans, no makeup, no effort to impress. Daniel walked in exactly on time. No expensive suit today, just a blue shirt and khakis. He looked different, less guarded, more real. "You actually came," she said as he approached the table. "You thought I'd send an assistant to cancel last minute?" he smiled. People like you usually do. People like me? He raised an eyebrow. Rich, impulsive messages. Then forget because you're too busy, she replied. Matter of fact, not unkind. Daniel laughed. Fair. They ordered black coffee for him, chai latte for her, and started talking. Not small talk, real talk. About her parents, Mexican immigrants who worked multiple jobs so she could go to college. About the student who once painted a blue sun because it felt sad. Daniel listened quietly, then admitted, I used to want to be an architect. I drew buildings all the time as a kid. So there's a hidden artist under that serious CEO exterior? Lena teased. They lost track of time. When she checked the clock, it was past the hour. Want to see where I teach? She asked suddenly. The school's open today for weekend art classes. Daniel didn't hesitate. I'd like that. Daniel hadn't expected a small public school classroom to leave such a deep impression. Lena's space was filled with color, laughter, and something he couldn't quite name. Something real. As they left that day, he'd quietly said, Thank you for showing me your world. 2 days later, they were on the phone, Lena grading papers, Daniel half listening to a board meeting. There's an art retreat in Oceanside this weekend, Daniel mentioned. Local artists, outdoor workshops, even sketching on the beach. Sounds like heaven, Lena replied, scribbling notes in red ink. Want to go? Just a few days. Separate bungalows, your own space, no pressure. She paused. All right, but only if you promise to actually try drawing. Daniel chuckled. Deal. Oceanside looked like it had been painted into existence. Wooden cabins, soft blue skies, sand stretching endlessly. Lena dove into every class, vibrant and energized. Daniel watched, quietly, curiously, and felt something shifting within him. During a portrait sketching session, he picked up a pencil and began drawing Lena when she wasn't looking. His hand trembled slightly, but his gaze was calm. On Saturday evening, they walked barefoot along the beach. The sunset melted into the waves, orange, bleeding into blue. You're different here, Lena said softly. Because I'm not a CEO here, Daniel replied. I'm just a man, trying to figure out who he really is. Lena stopped walking. Can I ask something? Why me? He turned, feet sinking in the sand. Because you're not trying to be anything. You help me let go of the things that don't matter. You make me want to be better. He reached up and brushed a strand of hair from her face. Lena didn't pull away. Their first kiss came as gently as the tide, soft, hesitant, but real. And in that moment, the world held its breath. 2 days after their trip, Lena was attending a school fundraiser. Nothing fancy, just parents and teachers gathering to support the art program. Daniel showed up unannounced. He brought a large cake and a quiet congratulations. He smiled at the kids, shook hands with a few parents, awkwardly but sincerely. Lena was chatting with a group of parents when she overheard the hushed voices behind her. That's Daniel Grant, isn't it? Richard Grant's son? Yeah, his company took over all of Santa Florencia a decade ago. My family lost our auto shop because of that. My dad lost his job too. They bought everything, shut it down, turned the whole district into luxury condos. People were pushed out. Lena froze. Santa Florencia. Her neighborhood, where her father, Carlos Morales, had worked for nearly 30 years before being abruptly laid off. What followed was a chain of loss. Her mother's untreated illness. Lena giving up her scholarship to work full-time. She turned. Daniel stood not far away, scanning the crowd, searching for her. Their eyes met. She walked straight to him. Lena, are you okay? He asked, concerned. Grant Enterprises, Santa Florencia. Did you know? Her voice trembled. Daniel went still. Your father was Carlos Morales, wasn't he? She nodded. He passed away 3 years ago, still waiting for justice. You knew? And you didn't tell me? Daniel lowered his gaze. I found out after we met. Last week I came across old acquisition files from my father's archives. I didn't know how to tell you. Last week? Lena stepped back. So, before our trip? Before you kissed me? I was going to. No, she cut him off, eyes filled with tears. You had your chance. You chose silence, just like everyone else with power. Daniel reached for her, but she backed away. I have to go. She walked off, no goodbye, no glance back, leaving Daniel standing in the middle of the schoolyard, surrounded by cheerful noise, yet consumed by silence. Daniel couldn't work. 3 days had passed since Lena walked away, and every minute was haunted by the image of her tearful face. He sat in his office for hours, ignoring meetings, leaving emails unanswered. Instead, he combed through the company's old archives, boxes his father had left behind after retirement. In a dusty folder, Daniel found memos, contracts, and internal reports related to the Santa Florencia acquisition. Everything was legal, but ruthless. No relocation plans, no fair compensation, just pure profit strategy. That afternoon, Daniel drove to Lena's old neighborhood. He parked in front of a modest house where an elderly woman was watering plants. She looked up and recognized him immediately. "You're a Grant," she said coldly. "I saw it in your face the first time. You look just like your father." "You're Marisol, right? I'm not here to justify anything. I just want to talk." She said nothing for a moment, then nodded and motioned him inside. Daniel stood in the small living room, walls lined with family photos. He pulled an envelope from his coat pocket. "This is the amount your husband, Carlos, should have received, with interest. I went through everything. It's not mine. It was his." Marisol didn't reach for the envelope. "Money won't bring my husband back." "I know," Daniel replied, "and I'm not asking for forgiveness, but you deserve to know the truth. And this is just the beginning." Lena had tried to forget. She buried herself in teaching, stayed late grading papers, erased the whiteboard in an empty classroom just to keep her hands busy. But Daniel's face kept surfacing in the still moments. His eyes when she walked away, the words he never got the chance to say. Then came the message from her mother. "He came to see me, didn't ask for forgiveness, just stood there with every truth he never said out loud. I haven't seen that kind of humility in a long, long time." Lena sat with that message for a long while. She wasn't sure what made her get up, put on her long coat, and drive to the headquarters of Grant Enterprises. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the fragile hope that someone really could change. The building was sleek, towering, and distant. Everything her tiny classroom was not. But Daniel wasn't. He came out the moment he saw her name at the front desk, his face a mix of surprise and hope held tightly in check. "Thank you for coming," he said softly, voice tinged with emotion. Lena didn't sit right away. She looked around, then met his eyes. "You didn't try to explain, you just did," she said. "The school, the community center, my father's restitution, all of it quiet, no press, no glory. I know you didn't do it for me. You did it because you knew it was right." Daniel nodded slowly. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I couldn't stay the same. Not anymore, not after you." Lena drew in a breath. Her heart still hurt, but it also beat with something else. "I'm not promising anything, but I think if we begin again, this time it has to be real. No more secrets." One weekend afternoon, Daniel picked Lena up from school and took her to a vacant lot near the old Santa Florencia neighborhood, the same area that had once been taken, the same place that held so much pain. "I know this place," Lena whispered, as if the wind still carried her father's voice. "He worked here, every day for nearly 3 decades. When it shut down, it felt like the neighborhood stopped breathing." Daniel nodded. "I know, and I don't want it to stay a symbol of everything that went wrong." He pulled out a site map from the card, completely blank, just measurements and lot boundaries. "I bought the land back, not for the company. I want to turn it into a community art center." Lena said nothing. "Not designed by me," Daniel continued. "Not an apology made of bricks and concrete, but a chance for you to create something that belongs here. I'll support it, fund it, stand behind it, but the vision, that's yours." Lena looked down at the map, then back at the windswept patch of land. Already she could see the outlines: murals, classrooms, children laughing, a tiny outdoor stage. "Then we start here," she said. And for the first time, Daniel didn't lead. He walked beside her. A year later, the Santa Florencia Community Art Center opened its doors. The once abandoned lot had been transformed into a space of light, color, and hope. Tonight was its very first exhibition, featuring Lena's students under the theme Invisible Transformation, every piece a reflection of change, resilience, and becoming. Lena moved through the space, fingers brushing gently across frames, her eyes glowing with quiet pride. Her students stood by their work, explaining to friends and families. The room buzzed with joy. Some paintings had "sold" signs, proof that for the first time, these kids believed art could be more than a dream. In one quiet corner hung a black and white photo of her father, Carlos Morales. Below it read, "In memory of Carlos Morales, who taught his daughter that worth isn't measured by wages, but by how kindly one chooses to live." Daniel arrived late as usual, but this time in a soft gray suit, holding a small wooden box. He approached Lena, standing beside her in silence before gently handing it over. Inside was a tiny carved sculpture, a girl in a yellow dress, hair flowing, spinning mid-dance, glasses slightly askew, a shy smile carved in wood. "It's you," Daniel said softly, "from that first dance." The night everything began. Lena laughed quietly, saying nothing. They stood together, watching the room filled with laughter and light. "Would you like to dance?" she asked, extending her hand. "I always would," Daniel replied. As they swayed through the center of the room, Daniel paused mid-step. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a simple ring, placing it in her hand. "No movie moments, no fireworks," he said, "just you and the truth. We've made it through the past. I want to build the future with you. Will you marry me?" Lena looked at the ring, small, simple, no diamonds, no shine, but maybe, after all the hurt, all the silence, it was exactly what love looked like. She nodded, eyes glistening. "Yes," she whispered, "but promise me, no more secrets. Only truth," he said. And there, in a room where art, memory, and hope danced together, they embraced, not with grand words, but with a promise that mattered, not just to love, but to grow, to heal, and to never stop choosing each other.